OCO and Stone Gold, welcome to the Native News Today. Jason Salzman with Gerald Wofford. As always, we thank you for joining us this cheery Saturday afternoon. At least we hope it's a cheery Saturday afternoon for you all out there. We feel like we got a good program for them, right?
Absolutely, got some stuff lined up, and I'll tell you what, Gerald, I just love the viewers so much that a little under the weather this week, but I'm here and ready to go. In the batter's box, let's get this thing kicked off.
That's right, man. If any of y'all seen the Rocky movies, you know, the proverbial music montage, I think it's in the third movie, you know, when Rocky's going down like that, you know, well, you know, it's just, you know, we're both the good soldiers today, you know, here. We're fighting and battling the spring colds and everything like that, just to bring you a good show and everything. So, hey, we go the extra mile.
Absolutely, man. We do go the extra mile, and we've been traveling a few miles this week and getting a few things out there. And one places me and Gerald was able to go was the Moreau Children's Home in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And a lot of Indian people in this state know about that special place because it's been a safe haven for children that are, you know, less fortunate, maybe not have the best family life or get into a little bit of trouble or whatnot. And it's just been a great place for them to get a new start and to be able to really have a life. And they do a wonderful job there. And we just couldn't go another episode without previewing and showing the people what goes on there in Muskogee. It's a really special place.
That's right. Joan Brown is the director there at the Children's Home, and we got a chance to talk with her, visit with some of the kids. They were even out that day playing some stickball out there, so just having a good time. And it's just good to visit people like that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. That's what we were talking about, you know, on the way back from there. We were like, man, it's nice to be able to, some of these stories, you know, sometimes it seems like work, but when we go places like that, it's really a privilege to do this job and to be able to share that with you at home and to be able to see that there are good things happening out there. And we live in a world that can be so corrupt sometimes, but when you see things like that, it makes you feel okay about certain things. So it's really great.
And the home was very close to closing. The Muskogee Creek Nation, the National Council, was able to step up to the plate and give a very generous contribution to keep that home open. A lot of good things happening there in the Moreau Children's Home, so we'll bring you that story as well. Also going to continue our Creek language lesson.
Absolutely, man. We got to get those Creek language lessons out there, and the women over at the Muskogee Language Program love doing that. And we love providing them an avenue to get the word out on Muskogee language, and they've been doing it in curriculum in schools around this area. So why not give them a little TV time? They can do some language, get the phonetics out there and all that, and make sure people know how to speak it and say it and understand it, really, because it's going to be spoken a lot more, I think, in the coming years.
Now, if you're a dedicated viewer, which we know a lot of you all out there, and again, we thank you for being dedicated viewers, you cannot say after you've watched the show after a little while that you're not going to be able to speak a little bit of Creek watching these language lessons. Very educational.
Absolutely, they are, and Norman and them do just a great job. Norman Marshall, the manager over there, they do a great job, and we've kind of had a little partnership with them for a while, so it's fun to do. And we also got Creek bow making today.
That's right, our little creative side, kind of slash Sundance, a.k.a. there, Jared Moore going out and continuing his documentary on bowmaker Mike Berryhill and seeing how this artist puts all his work together.
Yeah, Jared's really the creative type of filmmaker guy. Like, he'd be a dead of summer, he'll have like a scarf on and like gloves. So.
And he yells that he can't
with
work
the
this
fingers
way.
cut out of him. You know what I'm talking about? Those kind of guys.
And demands he can't work this way under the right conditions.
He doesn't want to ever break the 180-degree rule. Stuff like that, you know, just weird things.
Or his depth of field.
Absolutely, or rule of thirds, anything. You know, just take your pick.
So, hey, all those stories here and more here on the Native News Today. Thanks for watching.
Smali, tässä on Susinili liiankin näistun senga.
Pangana siipe hajatkaus.
No, dia. Kada magas.
Pangana se hajatki duohnore.
Fanny molu jo subananga.
Du må saat.
Hitla hani subani duon.
Wat, hiji mokhetseri chin hisakta da stumidanga.
Ma hitsi mokka se di wekki diga. Hisagida da hiliga. Ampane hajatki duon.
Hilimani. Matse.
The Muskogee Creek Nation Tobacco Prevention Program offers all cessation classes to young and old. For more information about a healthier life and a second wind, contact one of these centers nearest you.
Hijida. Hilishwo fatsa. See you near to the doors. Mois.
Well, he's a mokkeskera mokkes aknoar stinokkesis, still easy dois.
Joan Brown, the director over at the Murrow Children's Home, does such a great job for the kids out there. It's a home for Native American children there that unfortunately do not grow up with very positive surroundings at times.
Yeah, that's right, Gerald. Not every kid has a great home, and not every kid stays on the right path from time to time. But that doesn't mean that you forget about them or don't give them a second chance or don't make things right for them to worry that they're able to live a life just like the rest of us out there and get the same opportunities. And really, when we talk to those kids at Moreau Indian Children's Home in Muskogee, they say we thank God every day for Moreau because it really gave us a chance to get back on our feet. And it was nice to be able to be there and to actually see these stories in person, not just hear about them in a magazine or in a newspaper, but to actually go and sit down with these kids that really had nothing. And now because of Moreau Indian Children's Home, they have a future, they have a plan, and it's all thanks to this special center in Muskogee.
Moreau Indian Children's Home has been providing service for over 100 years, and Reverend Moreau was the one that came from Georgia to minister to the 5 civilized tribes in Oklahoma. And after the Civil War, there was a lot of Indian children that were orphans, and so he began taking them into his home, and then some land was donated for a farm and an academy, and he had school and some teachers there. And so then he was one of the founders of Bacone College because he wanted to see more education for Native American people. And so the Moreau home was moved up to the front end of Bacone College. And then in the 50s, the vision of the board of directors of Moreau Home was for children to be in a more of a home-like environment. And so they traded land on the west side of the campus to have group homes that were more like a regular family home, and the children would have the opportunity to learn independent living skills and be able to learn more about setting up for their own families and not grow up in a dormitory type setting. So it has a long history of ministry and caring for Native American children of all the tribes in the state of Oklahoma. We sit here between 2 of the largest tribes in Oklahoma, the Creeks and the Cherokees, but over the years I've been here, 32, we've served children from every tribe in the state. There's been a lot of things since 9/11 that there's been money that was needed, the tsunami and Katrina, and our churches in the United States have responded well to that because it's such a need, and we acknowledge that too. But at the same time, it did draw some money away from us because we so desperately depend on donations. 75% of our income comes from donations from individuals and churches. And so that really took its toll on us. And last June, which was the end of our fiscal year, but that was the lowest month of the year, and it had been a pattern of we'd have maybe 5 or 6 months out of the year we couldn't meet our obligations. So financially, it just wasn't a good picture at all, and we just didn't have the money to continue on past February at that point, and we couldn't borrow any more money. We had already borrowed what we could borrow. So I prayed a lot about that because I thought, I didn't want to see Moreau close, but I also felt an obligation to let the people that had supported us and had been faithful know what the situation was and how dire it was. And there was a blessing that came our way that Native American Times in Tulsa had been working on a story, and they called shortly before Christmas when I was preparing this letter to go out. And she said, well, I'm still working on this story. And I said, well, you may not want to run it because we may be closed. And she said, oh, no, we have to get the word out. And so she did that day, and it went across the wire. And the next day I began getting calls from all over the United States, which was just phenomenal and exciting, and it was really shaking for us. Our children had, we tried to keep it as low-key as we could with them about the closing, because they've had so many changes in their lives and having to move so much that we didn't want that to be another trauma for them, even though it was going to be a reality. But they began to pick up on that, and they were asking, well, what's going to happen to us? You know, so that was just one of those hard things that we didn't want to have to see happen or deal with. But our prayers were answered, and people began to respond. And one of our alumni, Duke Harjo, which I was talking about earlier, that was here in the 50s, called and said he wanted to help in some way. And so with the collaboration of 3 of the councilmen from the Creek Nation, that prompted the donation of $100,000 to help us. So certainly with those things, and then picking up new people from around the United States, the Big Cypress Reservation, I heard from people down there. So it's just been phenomenal that we've had the contact, and so it's given us a new hope, a new life. And one of the things we've been struggling with was we have a cottage that's closed because of cutting back, and now we're hoping that we can get that open. I had a family of 9 children referred to us, but we couldn't take them, but they were all in one family, and that would have filled that house, you know. So we need to do something to get that where it's possible. Moreau has provided a wonderful service for a number of years, and we are able to work with Native Americans and provide cultural experiences and cultural knowledge and history and education, and encourage them in their language. And so we have a good program, and the state of Oklahoma acknowledges that, you know, and that really speaks well of us.
Mrs. Joan Brown, we really appreciate your time here, and we know
Thank
that
you.
the Moreau Children's Home is really a blessing to everyone
Thank
here.
you.
It's a great
Thank you.
foundation.
This has been a blessing to us for you to come and talk to us. Thank you.
Okay, we continue our Creek language lesson right here on the Native News Today. As we mentioned, there's no way after watching this show, after a little while, you're not going to pick up some Muskogee Creek words out there.
Absolutely, man. There's no way not to. It's like Norma always says. It just flows out of the mouth, and it's just like one of those languages.
Well, you were just
it's
saying
almost
a
like
word.
singing, man. It's almost like singing.
That's right. You were just saying a word here before we came back on camera. What was that word?
What was it? Mado?
No, it was. I don't want to say it because I'll shred it apart. But you said it.
Boy Dungo? No?
Well, close. So we'll go with that. Okay. Well, what does Moy Dongle mean?
I don't know. Ask Lucas.
Or start watching the language lesson here, and you'll figure some of these words out here. So it's Norma Marshall with Creek language lesson here.
It's Jay. Welcome to the Muskogee Language Program. We are going to be covering the first half of the Muskogee sounds of the Muskogee alphabet. And in this first section, we will cover all the way from ah to ni in our alphabet. Are you ready, Jabon?
Oh!
Ah. The first letter is ah. Afki or safki. Ch. Ch. The second letter says ch, as in chufi. Chari. Chufi. Chari. The third letter of our alphabet says I, as in ifa. I, as in ifa. The fourth letter is fi. Fi, as in ifigi. Fucho. Ifigi. Fucho. The fifth letter of our alphabet is he. He, as in hitchas. Hayi. Hayi. Hitchas. Hayi. Hayi. The sixth letter of our alphabet says A, as in a long sound. Hayi. Legas. Hei, legus. The seventh letter of our alphabet is ki. And if you will notice, it has a very soft sound, not as in English, with a harsh K. The Muskogee K is a softer sound. It's barely a puff of air, just as if you were breathing on a baby. Ki. Ki, as in cudgel, kitchel, kipala. Cudgel, kitchel, kipala. The eighth letter of our alphabet is li. Li, as in lucha, legas, lucha, legas. The ninth letter of our alphabet is mi. Mi, as in modisa, mojanita, modisa, mojanita. The 10th letter of our alphabet is ni. Ni, as in nuddy and nujas. Nuddy and nujas. And we would like to invite you to call the Muskogee Language Program office number, which is 918-732-7641. Mado.
All right, another language lesson there. We're going to take a quick break here and plus get you updated. All the stuff happening out there in Indian country and beyond in the tribal calendar. You're watching the Native News Today.
Again, if I wanted to take 4 hours doing it. Yes, I could do that. Yeah, that'd be kind of
You know, this past winter and first part of spring here, we've been following around bowmaker Mike Berryhill. Now, he lives near Henrietta. He's a acclaimed bowmaker, and Jared Moore, who works here in our department, has been documenting the process of making a bow.
Yeah, it's a very tedious process if you've never done it. You know, you look around and you think, oh, he just goes out and cuts a tree and then fastens it into a bow, and there you have it. But this has been done for many, many years, and it's been done a certain way. And Indian people, that's the way we keep our traditions and customs alive, is we do things the same way we did it a long time ago, and we just keep them alive and keep them doing them the right way. And so Mike Berryhill is no different. He holds these bows dear to his heart, and this custom, because it's been passed down from his grandfather and probably his grandfather before him and all the way down, and they do it the right way, and we're able to document it, and every week it just seems like, you know, we're learning more about this, and he's showing us more, and this is really going to be a great thing when it's done. But here's the next installment.
See this, where it stops here and kind of feathers out. That's what it does, feathers out right along this line right here. And you can see it at a certain angle as it comes down here. This is all one growth ring right here. And then on this part here, you got a growth ring here, you got a growth ring here, and you got a growth ring there. So I'm gonna have to remove all of this to get down to this growth ring right there. And that's what I wanna achieve right there. Is getting,
you want this piece here?
Yes, right. Yeah,
you
Bill,
can see that in the sun a lot better.
You sure can.
It's even more distinct from the
Yeah.
sun.
Okay. I think we can. When you do it this way, you have to be pretty careful with it.
I'll let you start.
Okay.
I don't want to screw it up.
Because what happens is you start jerking out some of the grain with it. And at this point, we don't want to have to go down that next one. Ideally, I like to make my limbs at least 1.5 inches wide. But in this case, I don't know what we're going to be able to get with. I usually like to measure it overall length. What's 54? 54 and half of that is 27. Sometimes I'll start marking off the center line. Then I'll go to mid limb. $13 1/2. Okay. It's not rocket science on this thing, but sometimes they get a little picky. Okay. Okay. This takes maybe 15 minutes to do, but you need to get your lines and your center line on it pretty straight. They don't have to be perfect, but I usually like to make my handle 1.25 inches wide. So it takes a little while to get your line on the width of it.
Somewhere?
Yeah, this is fine. Okay, there it is. Now, if you look down it and envision the dark lines, of course, obviously, or inside there is what your boat's going to look like. Man, that thing is flat. Usually you have a little bit of a twist. An opposing limb has a twist also in it, but that thing's perfectly flat. And that means that you won't have to do any heat treating on it at all. Heat treating is a step probably prior to your final tillering, where if you want to put a recurve in it, or if you're straightening the limbs that need to be straightened on it with steam.
All right, acclaimed bowmaker Mike Berryhill out there creating a work of art, and as Jason mentioned, it's a process that takes some time. You know, it's not they send that off to a plastic plant in China or somewhere and get it all made or whatever. They make it right here at home. The process is time-consuming. It's delicate, I guess you could say. It's a patient, committed time to making something, but once the finished product, as you're beginning to see through this documentary, it's well worth it.
Absolutely, man. And you know what? It's like anything that a custom you really care about, you know, you want to take time with it. You know, when you and your pops go out in Cherokee country looking around for hickory nuts to make some knutschi, man, you guys aren't just trying to get through the day. That's time you enjoy probably with your father and things you've done for a long time. And I mean, is it the same way, or am I just barking up the wrong tree here?
No, you're barking up the right tree there too, and it's kind of like having a '68 Mustang. You know, the muscle car. You just take your time with things. You know,
That's
and
right.
then they come out just the right way that you want them and everything. So, anyway, we hope you've been enjoying the documentary on that, as well as the other stories that we are bringing here to you on our new home, the CW1219. Tell all your friends about it. There's an American Indian show on TV. And every Saturday we're going to plan on being here 1:30. If time changes or something, we'll let you know ahead. But we're here 1:30 Saturday afternoon.
Absolutely. We don't care what that guy down in Houston said about Indians, man. We're here. You heard about that this last week?
The Houston mayor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, some politician down there saying stuff like he's tired of apologizing to the American Indian or something like that. You know, that the thing about that is these people think that we American Indians are sitting here waiting for an apology for everybody. It's not really that. That's not really the case. You need to get to know Native Americans around you and in this country if you think that, because we're going on and becoming doctors, lawyers, politicians, and entrepreneurs, and really not looking for a handout for anything. We're here, and we create business. We're a partnership with the state, with these 39 Indian tribes of Oklahoma, and really people like that just need to be educated. So that's what this show's doing. We like to educate.
That's right, and you know, if anyone really looks at the bigger picture out there, when Indian economy, the businesses are flourishing, everyone is flourishing as well, statewide, on the national level as well. So it benefits everyone when we're all working together.
Oh yeah, just last year in his State of the State address, Governor Henry talked about the millions of dollars that the state gets in revenue from the Indian tribes and their actions. So everything right there is great, and anybody that thinks otherwise just really doesn't educate themselves and doesn't know the facts. So we like to work with the state likes to work with us. We're content here, we're ready to go, and we're glad to be on CW, like you said.
That's right, the way it should be. Hey, as we said, we love bringing the Native American stories to you and everything, and you can help us out there. We know you got some grandkids out there, nephews, nieces, husband, wives, whatever you want to brag on. They've done something great and everything, and hey, we'd love to share their story right here on TV.
Absolutely, and there are ways you can get a hold of us if you have a story idea or anything like that. 918-732-7638 is our telephone number, or you can reach us by fax at 918-758-0824, or you can always reach us by email. Mine is jsalzman@muskogeynation-nsn.gov, gwofford@muskogeynation-nsn.gov. Cross the T's, dotted the I's. We're ready to go, Gerald.
As always, thank you for joining us. We're going to say so long for right now, but in the meantime, for our producer, Josh Lane, Jared Moore, Jason Salzman, and Gerald Wofford, in the meantime, take care, and God bless, and we'll see you soon.